Here to give us the latest on the American election campaign is our Washington correspondent Stefan Grobe. Stefan, by reviving its investigation into Clinton's emails, the FBI's put itself under a lot of political pressure 1 week before a presidential election. Realistically, though, can the Bureau provide any conclusions before Americans have to vote?
Well, that's a great question, Mark. It's a complicated and lengthy process. So what the FBI started doing on Monday was loading a trove of emails belonging to a Hillary Clinton top aide into a special computer program that would allow the Bureau's experts to determine whether they contain classified information or not. And we're told by law enforcement officials that the software should allow them to learn relatively quickly how many emails are copies of messages that they have already read as part of the investigation into the use of Clinton's private server. Now, should the FBI find emails that it had never seen before containing classified or potentially classified material, then copies would have to be sent to other federal agencies to determine their classification status. Then the FBI would need to prove whether classified information has been improperly sent intentionally or whether somebody tried to conceal new emails from the FBI. Both would be a crime. Whether investigators will be able to complete this process by Election Day, that is very unclear at this point.
Now, as the public digests all this, how's it influencing opinion polls?
Well, the FBI's announcement has certainly slowed the momentum of the Clinton campaign, and many staffers and volunteers of her are, becoming nervous. There are Democratic strategists who believe that at least soft Clinton supporters or independent voters, undecided voters, might be driven away by the email controversy. And this is probably true in the Midwest, in states like Iowa and Ohio, which were won by Obama twice, and where Trump had a small but consistent lead. Now, before Friday, the Clinton campaign thought they could turn this around, but I guess these hopes have faded away by now. And this is consistent with the latest polls, national and in battleground states. So there are two national polls out today. One sees Clinton with a 6-point lead. This is unchanged. And another one sees Trump with a 1-point lead, which is a new development, well, of course, within the margin of error. Then coming from battleground states, Michigan, Clinton is up +6. New Hampshire, Clinton is up +7. So as long as, these numbers hold, there's nothing to worry about in the Clinton camp. But yet, the week is not over.
Now, should it lose, the Republican Party risks losing its third consecutive election, and that hasn't happened since World War II. How's Donald Trump's campaign strategy any different from those of Mitt Romney and John McCain in the last two elections?
Well, what is interesting here that first of all, Trump is the anti-establishment, the anti-Republican establishment candidate. And in a way, his campaign is totally different. Now, throughout the campaign, and that includes the primary season, he has violated practically all rules of traditional campaigning, relying solely on 3 pillars. One is Twitter, one is free media coverage, and one is, the system of big rallies. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't have a ground game to speak of. He leaves that to the Republican National Committee that is struggling to keep up with the vast and very sophisticated Clinton operation. And this will probably make the difference on Election Day. On the other hand, he is sort of making a last-minute pitch in states like Pennsylvania, Iowa, Wisconsin, especially this week, a strategy that has been followed by Mitt Romney and John McCain unsuccessfully. Now, these states are states that haven't voted Republican in a generation. Yet, every 4 years, Republican candidates are hearing the siren song and believe that they can turn these states into a Republican state, put them in their column, but it never worked. On the other hand, they don't have much of a choice here. Trump needs to win states that have voted for Democratic candidates in the Midwest, and he believes he has a shot here because the demographics are sort of favorable to him, mostly white. Not very diverse states, a lot of blue-collar voters. So this is, if you want, his last stand in this campaign.
But with so many prominent Republicans having distanced themselves from Trump, to what extent can we really consider him a Republican candidate?
Oh, he's not a Republican candidate. Remember, he has never run for any public office in his lifetime. And his nomination was the expression of a deep-rooted anger within the Republican electorate. That's why they rejected 16 well-seasoned and professional politicians and made Donald Trump their candidate. And, we've seen in this election campaign that for the first time in some cases 150 years, the Republican newspapers, conservative newspapers in states like Arizona, South Carolina, Ohio, for the first time ever endorsed a Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton. Now, you can argue this is, of course, part of the establishment and they are anti-Trump, which is true, but Trump is, if you look at the issues, he's not a social conservative. He's not the typical Chamber of Commerce conservative Republican. He is advocating, a protectionist, anti-trade economic position that is everything but Republican. So you're right. He could have run probably as a Democrat as well, but he probably, when he made up his mind, believed that he had no chance against Hillary Clinton during the Democratic primary process.
Now, Barack Obama, he's just about as popular as he ever has been while being president, according to surveys and polls. What role can he play in the race to replace him?
Well, he is already playing a big role. This is a big ticket item here in the Democratic campaign. And I don't think there has been any incumbent president going back to the 18th century, going back to George Washington, that has fought so aggressively on behalf of his potential a successor coming from the same party. This is quite extraordinary. Now, why is he doing that? He is, of course, anti-Trump, but he's also keen on keeping his legacy and his political accomplishments alive. If you think about it, many of his political accomplishments have been successful because of executive action, not because of decisions by Congress. So a new president could undo all these things on day one, probably. And there are so many things that Obama believes have to be protected and defended. You start with his health care law. You start with the economic recovery, keeping the country out of war, the opening to Cuba, climate change. All these policies that have been launched and that they're still not completed, all these policies are in peril if Trump wins the White House. Of course, Hillary Clinton would have a difficult time defending these issues as well against a potentially hostile Congress if the Republicans keep their majority there. But if Trump wins the White House, Obama's legacy will be threatened, and that's why he is hitting the road every day this week.
Okay, well, Stefan Grobe in Washington, thank you very much, and we'll be talking again to you very soon. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.